Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Yeah.
This year I've had a theme going, what are the keys to the kingdom within and without? And I've chosen to go to different aspects of things that would be a key for us to unlock and help us explore our own divinity and our own humanity. So as I've been doing talks recently, I keep referring to the right use of will. And there's no accidents, because that's the way Spirit guides us. And apparently I had the book in my house, so I read it. This is a book, Right Use of Will, and I don't know if you have her name up there. Her name is Sean de Rohan. Now it's printed C-E-A-N-N-E, so I don't know if that's Sayan or Sean, but so I'm going to call her Sean. If anybody knows her real name, feel free to correct me, because that is okay. But this book is about the right use of will and evolving the emotional body. So as we marry the different keys within us, this book is going to be about understanding the purpose of our will, truly accepting ourselves, forgiving, expressing, and releasing emotions so that we can create what we desire. Now, the will has long been misunderstood because the spirit was seen to be the essence of the body. But the misunderstanding is simply this: the spirit inspires, the will responds to the inspiration. And together they experience the body. The body is manifestation of both spirit and will. The spirit, in fact, has only polarized itself in order to experience. The will is the magnetic polarity of the spirit. So that is right out of her book. Now this book for her is channeled, and there's a lot of different interpretations when people channel things, and there's always going to be that human filter online. So as I read or you read anything in life, you always have to go in with that inner intuition and see what vibrates for you. So as I read this book, there's a lot of things in this book that I'm going to pass on covering, because she gets into Atlantis, Lemuria, high science vibrations, which is where I love to hang out anyway. But for this purpose, this talk is about our own understanding and our use of our will. So many times we have misunderstood the fact that our will is the driving force in our body. We've misunderstood in this separation of spirit and will, and not realized that they are coming here together. Expressing yourself freely is the way to call the reality that you need or want, and yet desire has long been thought of as a sin. In fact, desire is the magnetic energy that attracts the light, and the essence of light is love. Love is present when you desire it to be, and love manifests in as many forms as there are. Desire needs acceptance and understanding, just like anything else on earth that has been judged and placed in a state of denial. So as we have used our willpower, most of us have used our willpower in reverse. We have tried to quit things using our willpower. I'm going to quit coffee. I'm going to quit sugar. I'm going to quit smoking cigarettes. And it's an actual reversed way of using our willpower, because our willpower is designed to do what you will, what you desire, what you wanting. And so many of this we've had backwards. We've had my will and my power over my will. And it's a little bit reversed. Now we're talking about this chakra. This is the power chakra. This is the third chakra. But instead of using the word power, I like to invite us to use the word empower. Because a lot of what we're doing with our will is truly re-empowering ourselves to understand the ways that we've mistaken, the understanding that we've had in our own bodies since we've been walking the planet, because we've been programmed along with everybody else by people who did not want you to know this. They didn't want you to use your will because they wanted to exercise their will over yours. Now, when we control others, sometimes we think this is using our will. Well, I want you to do this. There, I used my will. It's like, no, you didn't. They did. They still had a choice in this. There's nothing that we can ever do that is not of a free will. Even in our fundamental, basic Christian upbringing, most of us have believed that this is a free will universe, that God gave men and women free will. And there's this little kid inside of us who's very obedient to God. So even in that growing and evolving in our own metaphysics and our own new age, new thought, whatever you want to call it, there's a part of us that has got stuck in obedience to the will of spirit, thinking that we have to be obedient little boys and girls to serve spirit the best way. And the way spirit said to serve is, it is a free will universe. That is the will of spirit, that you have free will with whatever you're doing. Now, you can't impose your will on someone else. It's against the law. So we have to look into these laws and understand what we're attracting when we are using our will, and when we're trying to use our will rightly, or the right use of our will, and understand within us all the different places where we've had it reversed. All the different places where I thought perhaps telling you what to do was exercising my will, but in essence it created me to be in a trap. You will create yourself to be in conflict and battle with your own will, even more, trapping and ensnaring your own creations before they become the fruit you desire. So the more I'm trapped in trying to dominate you in any way, shape, or form, and we've talked about this from the security centers, from the power center, and when we're doing Handbook to Higher Consciousness, they're all going to align right with your chakras. So this would be the power center. This would also be my third chakra, which is about will, empowerment, trust, faith. It's all tied in together. It's all tied in together. As I look at some of the things that I've gone through in my health, and the fact that I got ripped open here twice last year lets me know what chakras I'm working and healing as well. There's many different ways to feed a cat. There's many different ways for us to get into the understanding of where I have given my will over, where I have denied my will. We're going to talk about denial in a moment. And where have I tried to use my will to control, thinking that this is how my will is supposed to work. We have all read different doctrines, we've read different rules, different dogma throughout our lives that has created an interpretation of spirit and our relationship with spirit. As we get into this new thought and we get into the understanding that everything is energy and that I'm simply a vibration, this book talks a lot about vibration. And she goes into a lot of different things all over the place, and we've talked about vibration a lot, and I think people have a basic understanding, if not more, about what vibration is. Well, my will and my spirit vibrated together to come into this body. And a lot of times, some of the things she talks about here are pretty out there, about how the original existence of humankind, that somewhere along the line, the spirit and the will got in conflict with each other. And the human being didn't want to own its animalistic side of itself. And then mythological creatures like centaurs and pintors created, showing the duality of man and beast. Now, you can take that as a story. You can take that as a possible history. What is myth anyway? But as you look at it from the inside job part of it, from the inside lesson of learning that somewhere in my own body, in my own experience, in each one of our own experiences, our will and our spirit, somewhere along the line, thought they were separate from each other. And that's been one of the biggest beliefs in our own incarnation, is that we, along with our will and spirit, thought we were separate from God. We think our will and spirit separate from divine will, or our spirit separate from divine spirit. So as we have this, and if we think our desire is a sin, we're going to stifle our own will. If I feel that what I desire is sinful, and my will is showing me what I desire, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stifle. I'm going to shut myself down right then and there. So a lot of this is about discovery. A lot of this is also about releasing and freeing ourselves from the lies that we've been telling ourselves. As we did a meditation today, I invited everybody to simply acknowledge everything that they desire, to bring them online. To bring all the desires online, whether you think they were right, wrong, sinful, lustful, whatever, to have no judgment. We're going to talk more about judgment next week as we continue this. But a lot of this is about this owning what I want, owning my desire. We spoke of the throat chakra speaks of my creation out into life. So I'm speaking of the friendliness of life I am attracting to me by virtue of what I say. But this is the magnetic attractor. It is my will. It is my gut feeling. It is my intuition. It is my knowing that and trusting that it is already here for me. And then we can either influence our creation and attract it to us more by speaking of it, or we can thwart it just like that by going, but I know it's never going to happen. So understand that these two always will work together, but all our lives, our will has been trying to free its own self through your own emotions. But we all like to seem to ride on that wonderful river of what? Denial. Never been there, but we've all been on the river at one point or another in our life. And it's okay. It's understanding that this is part of the programming that we've all been grown up with, or we've all been raised with. We've talked a lot this year about emotion-backed addictions, emotional programming, and this is going to be similar and in line. All truths will always come together because truth is truth. Universal truth is truth. Truth about our spirit is truth. Your relationship with spirit is yours. It's personal, and it's true for you. There are also laws. Gravity is working today, whether I believe it in it or not. I'm going to stand here on the planet. Now, I can transcend that own thought and my own vibration, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But as I realize and understand that, okay, my will has been used in reverse, that everything I'm really wanting and desiring is my will, and that my will has been trying to speak to me my entire life. Our will is always communicating with us, letting us know what we desire, letting us know that the path that our spirit, our essence, wants to follow. And then all these different things come up and block it. Unconditional love exists when all of you is loving all of that which you love. And say that sentence again, because I had to read it twice myself. Unconditional love exists when all of you is loving all of that which you love. You can only love unconditionally out there to the extent you have loved and accepted the selves and all their stuff within. To deny any part of you is not unconditional love, and therefore the will has yet to be totally accepted. So let's just breathe into this one for a moment, because this could be another place to whip out your flog and start beating yourself. Oh, I'm not even unconditionally loving then. Great. We have to just be gentle with ourselves. We have to understand that each moment is a moment of discovery and understanding. I could be the good old little Catholic boy and whip out my flog and do my, whatever you want to call that, because, you know, that was forms of dogma in many different religions to punish ourselves for desire, to punish ourselves for our own will when Spirit, God, Goddess, all that is, said, no, it's free to do what you desire. And if you keep going over to what you think I want, how do you know what I want? I'm everything. I'm all that is. You're going to do it all at once? Why don't you just go be you? You just go be you this lifetime. What is your will? What are you wanting to do in this lifetime? Half of the things that I have blocked in myself have not come from any other person but me. I'm like, well, why would I do that? It's like I was programmed just as much as anyone else. So as I understand this unconditionally love, and understand that within me, every single person has to be loved, good, bad, and the ugly, all the time, always, forever. And as I can do that more, I'm going to be more accepting. We're going to go into that in a moment. Another thing about denial is it does not allow release back out of what has been taken in. If you take in and do not release, you get full, unclear, and unable to follow your own guidance and your own will. So, can you imagine if you ate and ate and ate and never went to the bathroom? I mean, you know, sorry for you visual people, but whatever. But there's a process of elimination that happens in our biochemistry on there's a carbon-oxygen exchange going on, whether we're thinking about it all the time. There's so many processes that we take in and we eliminate, we release. I start us every day with 3 breaths. I start my days like that sometimes in the middle of the day. If I notice that heart chakra had stuff jumping on it and it's all tight and I want to vibrate that angst off, or just simply vibrate it higher. Breathing, movement, and sound is 3 major keys to the universe and to your path in the universe. Everything is made of breath, movement, and sound. So as I breathe into these things and breathe into my own acceptance and denials, I have to be able to let back out what came in. So if something came in my life and I didn't like it and I don't like that and stuffed it, I'm in denial of my own will as well. I am preventing my will from exercising its freedom because I've denied an aspect of me that's going on in here saying, hey, hello, gotta say something here. I feel something, I need something, I want something, and we're just shutting it up and shutting the doors. I've been talking about emotional growth work for eons. Scott has, Margie has, that's what Marty has. This meeting with Art is about the emotional breakthrough workshop that he brought to the people from California. But on every single level, whether you ever heard of a workshop, do a workshop, inclined to think about doing a workshop, you have to go within and accept what you've been denying. Denying in any way creates unpleasant experience to the degree of the denial. Whatever it takes you getting back in balance. So this is your karma. This is what underlies your attractions. So if there's anything going on me at all, that you cannot fool the universe, you cannot fool yourself. You can deny it, but your body's going to tell you. It's going to bring it up some way or form. Remember, karma is simply the predisposition I have that underlies what I'm attracting to me and what I'm repelling from me. It's an energy thing. So whatever is denied in me is a predisposition. So if I'm denying a certain truth, life is going to keep bringing me scenarios to help me with that, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. There's so many things that we deny. How many here take medicine? You've got a headache? All right. We're denying our pain. And I'm not telling you to quit taking medicine. I'm saying that so many of us are programmed to instantly stop the pain, when the pain is there to tell you what you're denying. Now, if you have an injury and you have to take care of it, take care of the injury. Sometimes pain medicine does help. If you've already isolated, you know what the cause is, and there's nothing left to process. But if you're just in chronic pain, I have to reboot my mouth. If you're just in constant pain, and you're not looking and seeing and understanding what that original cause is, what that message is that the body is trying to tell you, you're just going to keep masking it. So the pain is going to get louder. It's going to turn the volume up on you. There's nothing in our DNA that would have us age or die, and science, regular 3D physical science, says that. So we can't find anything. We can't find the mechanism that says die, or the one that says age. We have bought into a belief system that we have to get sick and we have to die. Illness is not a sabotage. It is the body's statement that it has been having to hold imbalance of denied will and needs to be released. If you can accept the message and regain the necessary balance, illness disappears and health prevails. How many of us have experienced that in some way or form, especially in the New Thought metaphysical community? How many have had something going on in our emotions, realized we felt like crap somewhere along the way, some kind of ache, some kind of pain, some kind of malady showed up. And then when you did the emotional release of that thing, all of a sudden you started feeling good. I mean, has anybody noticed that, ever had that happen? The more we do it on purpose, the more we're going to really exercise that muscle and be able to free our will. Now, this would also suggest, as others have, and this is somewhat in this book, she gets into a lot of this fun stuff, that as we raise our vibration, we will transcend out, or ascend. We've heard some stories of that, right? So, a lot of folklore, I don't like the word myth, because myth is naturally assumed that it's not true. A lot of stories from yesteryear about the human condition and the spirit condition is that we've always been able to travel freely throughout the universe. That somewhere along the line, when we got to this belief of separation and started living in this physical 3D world, we started vibrating differently. And we slowed our vibration down to a point where we had to think, well, how do we get out of here? Well, just die. Oh, okay. And then long and eons of people being around here, this belief system of creating disease and death to be able to have my window out. It's like I had a window in. Birth was pretty traumatic or pretty melodramatic. That's a pretty wow thing. And that was bringing life. That was when we changed our form from light beings and vibration and came into the physical. Well, this is suggesting, along with many, many, many people and masters of yesterday and present, that it's our vibration that changes. Some of the Native Americans have the term dropping robes, which means I'm not going to let myself die. I just know when it's time and I go. And they say goodbye to everybody and they go off and they just leave their body. They didn't necessarily have to create anything to do it. This is also suggesting, though, that your body will also transcend, that it will vibrate right out of here. Now, I'm going to only talk about that for a little bit because that's really a whole nother talk. It's a whole nother belief. It's a whole nother way of understanding that your own vibration. And if we understand that and realize it and own it, that means we can vibrate every illness out of us. We can raise our vibration and heal every single illness because the body's natural state is healthy. Accepting everything about yourself, every feeling, every thought, every deed, everything done or not done. This is what true acceptance is. Every ache or pain, accepting it as a message from your will, talking to you, to lend to you freedom, to lend to you the manifestation desires that you want. If I plant an apple tree, what do you think I'm wanting at the end of the season? Yay! It's like, otherwise I'll just plant a tree that doesn't bear fruit if I just want to look at it and see it for its leaves or perhaps its flowers. But if I'm wanting to do something and I desire the fruit, and then I'm like, well, I want an apple tree, but I'm not planting it. What do you mean? You have the seeds, you have the dirt, it's fertilized even, you have water, you have everything except my own will. And my own will denies. All the tools were right there for me, and I just, nope, ain't gonna do it. Why not? And then you go back and find that someone a long, long time ago was sitting under an apple tree and got his head clunked. Well, I ain't sitting under there no more. Why would I want to grow them? It's just gonna hurt. Sometimes our programmings are so ridiculous, but they become programs. We've told the story in our workshop many, 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 many times about the pan and the 5 generations or 4 generations of women, and the little girl goes up to her mom and goes, Mom, why do we cut the ends of the roast off? And she's like, well, sweetie, I really don't know. That's how Grandma's always done it. So she goes over to Grandma. Grandma, why do we always cut the ends of the roast off? She's like, sweetie, I don't know. That's how Great-Grandma has always done it. And she's right over there. So the little girl goes up to Great-Grandma. Great-Grandma, why do we cut the ends of the roast off? She goes, well, when your great-grandpa and me first started out, we were in a very, very little tiny apartment with a very, very tiny stove, and the pan was only this big, and that's all that could fit in the oven. And we have all these traditions and these programmings that keep going by, and I've been cutting the ends of my roast off for how long now? So where in my own self have I denied myself because of just traditions? And we're going to get into a little bit of habits and things like that next week. But this is about understanding the denials and then acceptance. Accepting, again, every single thing about myself that I know. Every feeling, every thought, every deed done or undone that I wanted to do and didn't do because of all the other thoughts. And to just breathe and to simply accept them. Acceptance is a really easy word. It's a long one, not too hard to spell, but it's really easy to accept. Now, can you use that word and accept all the things about you? Every single thing that there is. No judgments. That's for next week. I don't have to accept you, though. Did you know that? I do not have to. It is not a universal law that says, I have to accept you. But I have to accept me. And as I accept every single part of myself, I'm going to be free from that judgment or that karma that's going to attract only behaviors to me that are acceptable. And then as I do that, I can just receive you. So acceptance has to happen in here. Now, I may dislike some of your behavior, but how many times have you heard yourself say or think, well, that's just unacceptable? I'm like, The more I accept everything going on in here, and I'm going to go back to that sentence on purpose, I'm the creator of this reality. Sometimes in my humanness, I'll call somebody out on something that I didn't like. Hey, I don't like that. Most of the time, I'm keeping it to myself because I'm like, okay, nobody cut me. I'm not bleeding, so there's nothing to really say. Sometimes the ego feels like they just got cut and they're shot and they're bleeding and they must have the SWAT team come in and arrest that person. That's just the melodrama. If I go inside here and accept every single thing in me, every thought, every notion, every fear, every misthought, every misconception, every wondrous thought, every creation, every poem that I write, every song that I want to sing, every new idea, every moment of joy that I have seeing somebody else in their new idea, accepting it all, then whatever comes out of you is going to be what's acceptable to me. Because this is still my movie. This is always our movie. Everything that is happening to us is life trying to teach us what we're attracting and the right use of our will and what we can bring to ourselves through acceptance. So I really don't have to change anybody out there. Matter of fact, as I try to change you more in any way, shape, or form, I am truly wasting my time, because you have to come to this within yourself. We all have to do the acceptance from the inside. It's like there's nothing I can truly change for you unless you've fallen on the floor and said, please help me up. It was your will that said, please help me up. It was your hand that rose and lifted and reached out for me. You still were the one doing it. We can assist each other in all different ways, shapes, or forms, but accepting 100% every single thing within myself with no judgment, with total unconditional love. That is one of the biggest challenges for us. We have to breathe into this. We have to let our auras tickle each other and just accept that they may be where you're at in the moment. And if I'm sensing or feeling the energy and the vibration of something that is contrary to what I want in my life, still stay in my heart, still have that unconditional loving that gives me vision and gives me understanding. But the acceptance wasn't about you. It was still about me. Because if you did rub me the wrong way, that's a message for me. That's somebody inside me telling me, Mark, this is where you've denied your will. This is where you've denied expression of that one aspect of yourself. So the universe, delightfully, decided to accommodate you and kept bringing this situation in. We will only manifest things that we need, that we're wanting, to help us release anything that's stuck in us, anything that would prevent us from understanding our own will. Yeah. As we do this and accept, we're going to come up with some things in ourselves that we don't like. We're going to come up with some behaviors, some thoughts, some deeds that sadden our heart. They make us want to think ourselves as bad, less than. And this is the place for forgiveness. This is the place to truly forgive yourself, not for the behavior, but simply for forgetting. Forgetting the essence of your being. For forgetting how wonderful that we truly are. For forgetting that when I heard that statement about me and let it hurt my feelings. For forgetting that I was already part of the light and that I was making that up in my head. The forgiveness out here is sure, that helps my heart stay open and it helps me stay loving with you. And if all I can do is start with forgiving out there, then it's a good starting place, because it's still always about an inside job. Because as I forgive me, there's nothing to forgive you for. As I surrender, there's nothing that I would ever need you to surrender for. This is about total acceptance and breathing in. For surrendering to every single time you let somebody exercise their will over yours, and to just forgive yourself and surrender and accept it. For forgiving yourself and buying into every lie that we've ever been told about our own spirit, about our own selves, about our own truth. For ever letting someone tell you, well, this is who I think you are, in whatever words that sentence showed up. And for that nanosecond, you believed them over you. To just forgive yourself. So many times we get mad at each other instead because we know that's not the truth. And instead of just accepting that and forgiving yourselves for even buying into it for a second, that part of us wants to come out there and then exercise our will over theirs and just prove to them how they're wrong. It's like, why don't you prove them nothing and just forgive yourself and be happy? Can you completely forgive and surrender every single thing in your life, from you to you? It's a challenge, and your whole life waits upon it. There's something in A Course in Miracles, and I might not have it word for word, but that time waits upon forgiveness. Man doesn't wait upon forgiveness. You know what I'm talking about. I've got the sentence, but it's more of that time itself is waiting for us to understand forgiveness and experience it more than do it as a verb. Well, you need to forgive. It's another thing that somebody just put on me. Forgiveness is an inside thing. For giving. What I'm giving you is the gift of my understanding, the gift of my love. That's why it always has to be an inside job. I need to give myself the gift of loving, the gift of understanding, and the gift of acceptance. So I would like us all to just, I'm going to invite everybody to do this together. And I would simply like us to say 3 times, I forgive me. So together, take a nice deep breath in. I forgive me. I forgive me. I forgive me. How did it feel? This is an inside thing. You don't have to tell me. I invite you to notice who in you was denying that sentence, who in you believed it, and who in you is longing for that sentence. Because there's someone deep within us that has been wanting to be forgiven for a long, long time. And nobody else is beating him up but us. No matter what you think, say, or do, I promise every single body part, every molecule in my body, it's an inside job. And with knowing all this, you can imagine how I flog myself sometimes when I misstep. And that's the part that I have to surrender to as much. I have to forgive myself for not 100% getting it right 100% of every 100 seconds that happens. To just breathe into this, breathe into the discovery of it, and understand that as I surrender, forgiveness is going to be right there behind it. So I'm going to invite us all to say that 3 times too. On 3. 1, 2, 3. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. And just let these words vibrate with you. What I really invite us all to do this week is to use these 2 sentences as much as you can in your life. To go in your life, this is a private thing. You're not surrendering to one single person out there. You're surrendering to yourself, you're surrendering to your love, you're surrendering to your own will. You're surrendering to that divinity within you that says, I am here, I am free. Let me be. Ahom Takwa Asan, thank you.
Forgive me, I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender, I surrender. I'm ready for my change. Tired of the guilt that brings me pain. Now is the time to let go of the shame. The past is behind me, I see it new. I'm ready for my change. Forgive me, I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender, I surrender. I'm ready for my change. Tired of the guilt that brings me pain. Now is the time to let go of the shame. Past is behind me. I see anew. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. Everyone, let's sing. I forgive me. I forgive me. I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. All right, let's take that now. I forgive me. I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. Oh, I forgive me. Oh, I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my Bless all the